Hello and welcome to the Royal Society and the Big Summer Science Quiz. I'm your host, I'm Helen Arney. I'm a science presenter and a comedian. I am here at the incredible Royal Society at Carlton House Terrace in the centre of London. And it is absolutely wonderful to have so many of you joining us online for this quiz, ready to cover yourselves in scientific glory in what I believe is the only competitive event happening on the 7th of July 2021. This is only the second ever Big Summer Science Quiz that the Royal Society have hosted, and we have some absolutely stellar guests this year asking the full range of questions from the deceptively simple to the mind-bendingly difficult. And the science doesn't stop at 7:45 when the quiz finishes, because this is just the launch event for a whole 4 days of Royal Society exhibition Summer Science. That's 4 days of talks, of workshops, of activities, all hosted by the Royal Society, and a very exciting interactive website where you can literally walk into the cutting edge of science. That starts tomorrow. There'll be more about that at the end of the quiz, and you can check the Royal Society website now if you are desperate to find out more. Of course, this is July 2021, not some kind of ancient time in history like early 2020. So we're not doing this live and in person. We're doing this through the wonder of YouTube live streaming, which means that anyone can join us from the comfort of their own home. And I know that many of you are, because I can see the live chat is already starting to buzz with people telling us where they are and what they're up to. I can also see there are people not just from the UK. So if you would like to join the chat, let us know where you are. Let us know who's in your team. Let us know, are you working together as a family? Are you competing against each other in a single room? Do you have some kind of workplace sweepstake going on? We would love to know. Come and tell us in the chat. And that will be going on throughout the whole quiz. Now, I should make it clear that I'm here at Carlton House Terrace, but I am not alone. We have a fantastically socially distanced and mask-wearing crew who are all making the magic happen behind the scenes. Because of all the COVID-safe things in place, that means that I can take my mask off and you can see my whole face for the entirety of the quiz. I hope that's nice for you. It's nice for me. And because they're COVID safe, that's why we can do this. So give us a little round of applause from where you are at home for our COVID safe crew, please. Thank you very much. Now, it's time to put on my quiz host hat and let you know the house rules that are going to apply for the next 1 hour and 45 minutes. Oh, 1 hour and 15 minutes. I just gave us an extra 30 minutes. Football fans will not enjoy that. So we've got a couple of rules that we need to follow for the next hour and 15 minutes. So the first one is that everything you need is on the screen, okay? No need to go looking for things in internet browser windows or search engines where you might accidentally see the right answer. Because I know you wouldn't be doing that on purpose. But just so you know, all of the questions, the text will be on the screen. If there's a picture or an object, that will be on the screen as well. So you don't need to go anywhere else. You can just watch the screen and everything will be there. We also have live captioning from stage text. So everything I say and everything the guest questioners say will be on the screen. You just need to find the CC button on YouTube, the closed caption button. If you hit that, all of our words will start appearing at the bottom of the screen. Rule number 2. The answers from each guest questioner are the final answers. Now, we've asked them to set questions about their specialist area of expertise or their area of interest. Now, the answers they give are the answers we're going to go with, all right? So I know that science is this fantastic process of questioning and querying and consensus. But those things have no place in a pub quiz. Whatever the guest says is the right answer, that's the right answer. We've got rule number 3. Before I tell you rule number 3, I've got to let you know that there are, I'm sorry to say, no prizes tonight. Yeah, there are no prizes except the prize of knowledge itself, which is frankly a prize that money can't buy and is more valuable than anything I could possibly give you. Although I have decided that the team with the most points will receive a handcrafted high five from me. It's obviously going to be a virtual high five through the power of YouTube, but seeing as that is probably the closest I've been to anyone today, if not this entire week, I am very much looking forward to awarding that to the winning team. Final house rule, probably the most important rule: no answers in the chat. All right? If you're thinking about putting an answer in the chat, don't do it. Our Royal Society staff here are monitoring the chat, and that means they have a very itchy trigger finger. They are ready to kick out anyone who answers a question in the chat. They will also kick out anyone who says anything inappropriate. Now, if you're wondering whether what you're about to say might be inappropriate, I'm going to let you know that it's probably inappropriate. As they say nowadays, leave it in the room, not the Zoom, okay? So nothing inappropriate, please, and also no answers to the questions. You're very welcome to use the chat for everything else, though. Tell us where you are, what scores you've got so far, how you're doing, whether you are having fun. I mean, I'm saying that's a given, but most of all, I'm going to say good luck and enjoy the quiz. So, house rules out of the way. I'm going to tell you how the quiz is going to work. We have 5 rounds, and each of those 5 rounds has 5 questions given to you by one of our fantastic guest questioners. Each of those questions is worth 1 point. So those of you who are maths experts, you'll know 5 rounds. Nice and relaxed as you enter the quiz. Each guest is going to read out all of their questions in one block, all 5 questions in one block. So you've got plenty of time to write down the questions. That's a pro tip. Go get yourself a pad and a pen right now, because you'll want to write down your answers. You might want to write down the questions as you hear them as well. So 5 questions in a block, and then there'll be a little break for you to, argue with each other, change your answers, change them back again, argue a little bit more until you've got your list of 5 answers, and then we'll throw back to the special guest who will read out the answers, and you'll be able to mark your own sheet of paper or chalkboard or tablet or whatever you have. Then I'll give you a little bit of extra time to do a couple of things. Just relax your brain for a moment, possibly apologise to the rest of your team if you gave them the wrong answer and they wrote it down, or perfect your smug smile if you're the only one who got the right answer in your team. You can do all of those things until we move on to the next round. Now, this year, we've got something a little bit special. After round 3, which is just before Professor Brian Cox's round, I will be singing you a little song on this ukulele. It's just a chance for you to make yourself a cup of tea, sing along if you like, and get yourself ready for the final 2 rounds before we finish at 7:45 in plenty of time for the football. I've been told it's a scientifically verified, very important match, so we'll make sure we're done by then. Now, without further ado, we should move on to round 1. This is the family round. I'm very excited about this round because this is the chance for the young scientists in your team to get to the front of the queue and answer the questions first, right? Who knows? Maybe they will know something that the adults in the room don't know. If your house is anything like mine, that happens to me on a daily basis. So our guest questioner for the family round is Izzi Howell. She is an award-winning author and editor of over 50 books that are fantastic for bringing a brilliant introduction to science and loads of other subjects to young people. Now, she lives in East Sussex, and I'm told she enjoys learning languages, cooking, and travelling around Europe. Now, as one of those things is not easy to do right now, she also loves asking and answering your science questions. So tune in, get your papers and pens ready. 5 questions, 5 points. They come quickly, so be ready. Izzi, give us your questions.
Hi, I'm Izzi Howell, the author of Cats React to Science Facts, the winner of the Royal Society's Young People's Book Prize 2020. I love a quiz and I'm so excited to be here presenting a children's round. Grown-ups, you need to answer too. I have a feeling that some of the younger science fans might just beat you. Okay, let's begin. Which force pulls objects down to the ground? Which force pulls objects down to the ground? A kitten is a baby cat. Which other animals' babies are also called kittens? Goat, rabbit, or dog? A kitten is a baby cat. Which other animals' babies are also called kittens? Goat, rabbit, or dog? Which animal has 9 brains? Here's a clue. It has 1 main brain and 1 for each of its legs. Which animal has 9 brains? Here's a clue. It has 1 main brain and 1 for each of its legs. On which planet would you find the Great Red Spot? On which planet would you find the Great Red Spot? What does it mean if an animal is nocturnal? What does it mean if an animal is nocturnal?
All right, I hope that all of the teams that only have adults in them are not getting too complacent, because I've got to tell you, the questions get a lot harder. But I hope our young scientists enjoyed writing down those answers. In a moment, Izzi is going to let you know whether you got them right, but I should let you know we have people joining this quiz from all over the world, from Canada, from India, from Dorset, from Maryland in the US, Wiltshire and Pennsylvania. Let us know if you're tuning in from somewhere even further afield from that. But I think what we should do is let's find out the answers to that round. Izzi, back to you.
Okay, here are the answers. Question number 1. The answer is gravity. Question number 2, the answer is rabbit. Question number 3, the answer is octopus. Question number 4, the answer is Jupiter. And question number 5, if an animal is nocturnal, it means that they are active during the night and rest during the day.
All right, how did you do? Anyone get a perfect score, 5 out of 5? If you did, tell us in the chat. If you didn't, tell us in the chat, because there's plenty of time to catch up on those points for the rest of the rounds. If you had a cat in the room, did they react to those science facts? Let us know. So the next round is the objects round, and these questions are actually coming from a 2-person team, which makes me wonder if they have a team name. I'm not sure if any of you have team names out there, or if any of you want to spend a bit of time during this round working out your team name. You've got the whole of this round to work it out, and pop it in the chat window, and I'll read my favourite ones out. So bringing us these mysterious science objects, we have Professor Martyn Poliakoff and the Royal Society's own Keith Moore. Now, many of you will know Martyn Poliakoff if you spend any time on YouTube at all. He's a British chemistry at the University of Nottingham, and he is the face of the periodic table videos. And he's joined together with Keith Moore, who is the head librarian at the Royal Society. You might recognise him from YouTube as well, from Brady Haran's Objectivity series. I mean, you might recognise me from that series as well. If you don't, you obviously need to get along and see both of those channels. Together, they are going to explore the chemistry of some of the objects within the Royal Society's archive collection, and they're going to ask you 5 questions along the way. 5 questions, 1 point each. There is so much in this round to enjoy. 5 points to play for. Take it away.
Hello, I'm Martyn Poliakoff. I used to be the Foreign Secretary and Vice President of the Royal Society, and I'm here with Keith Moore, our librarian.
Hello.
And together, Keith and I are going to ask you some questions about the periodic table. They're multiple choice questions, and to give you a bit of time to think, we'll have a pause between each question, and I've got the periodic table clock so that I can time the pause in between.
And I have a small Martyn Poliakoff, so I could have a proper conversation with you, Martyn.
Gosh. So the first question is about Joseph Priestley, the discoverer or co-discoverer of oxygen, the gas we all breathe. And he was also a fellow of the Royal Society. And there is one of his artifacts in our archive. So the question is, which of the following is the one that is in the archive? A, his glasses. B, his pipe. Or C, one of his slippers. This is my slipper, not Priestley's. So let me repeat that. Is it Priestley's glasses, his pipe, or one of his slippers in our archive? Question number 2. Keith has some nice pictures of Sir Humphrey Davy.
Here he is.
Oh, that's very nice. And Michael Faraday.
And this is a very famous picture of Faraday.
That's a photograph, isn't it?
It is a photograph, yes.
So Sir Humphrey Davy and Michael Faraday worked at the Royal Institution, and they were both fellows of the Royal Society. And the question is, how many chemical elements did Sir Humphrey Davy and Michael Faraday discover between them? Was it 5 or 9 or 13? I don't have 13 fingers. So did Davy and Faraday discover 5 chemical elements, 9 chemical elements, or 13 chemical elements? Time to think. Question number 3. Keith, I think you have a sample for this one.
Here we are.
And that's a piece of platinum. And you can see it's been cut at the top because that piece of platinum has been used by a really famous scientist. So the question is, which famous scientist who was also a fellow of the Society used that sample of platinum? Was it A, Michael Faraday, B. Sir Humphrey Davy, or C. Ernest Rutherford? So who used that piece of platinum and cut pieces off? Michael Faraday, Sir Humphrey Davy, or Ernest Rutherford? So the next question, question number 4, is about my fountain pen, my favourite blue pen, which I presented to the Royal Society and is in the archive, but Keith hasn't found it yet.
It's kind of here, but it's actually in an archive box in the archive store, and our archivist didn't actually record where it was, but we will find it.
Thank you. And the fountain pen, which is an old-fashioned pen that you put real ink into, which I used when I was a student, has a nib which you write with. And the tip of the nib was made of a mixture of 2 metals. So which 2 metals do you think it was? Was it A, platinum and gold, B, silver and mercury, and C, osmium and iridium? So was the tip of my student's fountain pen made of platinum and gold, silver and mercury, or osmium and iridium? Now for question number 5, Keith has a really quite unusual item from the archive.
Here we have it.
This is the label from a beer bottle, from a full beer bottle that I gave to the archive to mark the 250th anniversary of Smithson Tennant's birth. Smithson Tennant was the scientist, the chemist, who discovered the element osmium. Keith, is the bottle still with the beer in the archive?
It seems to have been consumed, Martyn.
Oh, well, I'm sure it is supporting research. So Smithson Tennant, the discoverer of osmium, died a violent death. How do you think he died? Was it A, in a chemical explosion? B, by a bridge collapsing under his horse? Or C, in a duel when he was fighting with another chemist? So do you think that Smithson Tennant died in a chemical explosion, or B, by a bridge collapsing under his horse, or C, in a duel?
Oh, they were hard questions. I wonder how many of you are going to keep your full mark scores when we mark this round. And I also wonder if any of you at home have been helping your research by archiving an alcoholic beverage of your own. If you did, it probably hasn't helped you get the right answers on that round. Now, something I need to tell you is I've seen a lot of fantastic team names in the chat, but I've also seen some answers, and you are breaking the house rule if you've done that. Remember, no answers in the chat. But your team names are very welcome. My top 4 favourite, Team Penguin. I'd love to know the story behind that. The Flying Chickens, also a story there, I bet. The non-trivials, I love a maths pun. And number 4, they've just gone for my favourite kind of pun. They've just called their team Appropriate Pun. There you go. That covers pretty much any good quiz team name there. So thank you for letting me know your fantastic team names. Keep them coming. I've given Martyn and Keith the name Team Quiz Bang Pop. Because they love explosions so much. What else can you do? So we're going to go back to Team Quiz Bang Pop for the answers.
Welcome back. Now Keith and I are going to give you the answers to our 5 questions. Question number 1 was, which of the artifacts of Joseph Priestley, the discoverer of oxygen, is in the Royal Society archive? Is it his glasses, B, his pipe, or C, his slipper? Keith, what is the answer?
Well, let me show you, Martyn. They're not quite my prescription, but here are Joseph Priestley's spectacles.
That's fantastic. And when I was Foreign Secretary, I was allowed to try them on. Well, not try them on, put them in front of my glasses.
How could you
Couldn't
see?
see anything at all. Question number 2 was, how many chemical elements were discovered by Sir Humphrey Davy and Michael Faraday? Was it 5 elements? Was it 9 elements? Was it 13 elements? And the answer is, it was 9 elements. Actually, they were all discovered by Humphrey Davy, but I'm not clear whether Michael Faraday contributed to it and the boss took all the credit, but there were 9 elements that were discovered at the Royal Institution.
I was going to ask you who the winner was, Martyn, but now we know.
Yes. Now, question number 3, Keith, is about your platinum sample.
And here it is, Martyn.
So the question was, which famous scientist used this particular piece of platinum for their experiments? Was it Michael Faraday, Sir Humphrey Davy, or Ernest Rutherford? And Keith, what is the answer?
Well, this was used by Michael Faraday.
So I presume that Michael Faraday used some of the platinum for his experiments on electricity. And is it very valuable?
It is very valuable indeed. Yes, this is a good chunk's worth here.
So just as well you're wearing gloves. You might dissolve some.
Just making sure the fingerprints don't get on it.
So question number 4 about my fountain pen, which is somewhere in the archive. Was the tip of the nib, that's just the very end of the nib, made out of platinum and gold, silver and mercury, or osmium and iridium? And the answer is osmium and iridium. They are very hard metals, so it doesn't get worn away by the paper. Silver and mercury is used in amalgam in people's teeth, and platinum and gold are used for jewellery or to amuse Keith.
We'll write you an apology, Martyn, when we can find the pen.
Thank you. As long as you haven't sold it yet. I'm not famous enough.
I don't know.
So the final question is about Smith and Tennant and Keith's beer label. Show them your beer label again.
Here we have it, minus the beer.
And the question is, how did the unfortunate Smithson tenant die? Was it in a chemical explosion? Did a bridge collapse under his horse? Or was it in a duel? Keith, what is the answer?
It was in a bridge collapse. The bridge collapsed in France. Tennant was on it, on his horse. The horse fell on top of Tennant, and he had a fractured skull. Smithson Tennant had really bad luck. He was intending to travel back to England on a channel boat, but he didn't like the bad weather, so he delayed his journey until he could get decent weather. He then got on a boat, but there was no wind, so he had to return to the shore again, and that's why he made a little trip around the area, which resulted in him riding to his death. And here we have the account. I'll just read a very small part of it. He was in company with a general, and it says, both were precipitated with their horses into the pass. The general was stunned for a short time, senseless. On recovering, he found his friend lying under his horse with his skull fractured and several severe bruises. So a sad end to a great chemist.
So I hope you've enjoyed Keith and my chemical elements round.
And we hope you got all your questions right.
But we very much hope that we will see you next year at the Summer Science Exhibition. So goodbye from me and
goodbye from me.
Oh, I love that when everything links together like that in a sort of beautiful periodic table of questions. It's so satisfying. It's almost as satisfying as Martyn's matching face mask and tie, which makes him the style icon we all know he is. So thank you to Team Quiz Bang Pop. That is Martyn and Keith. So how are your scores? Anyone got 10 out of 10? Anyone got 9 out of 10? Let us know in the chat. But remember, do not put any answers in the chat. We've got some lovely messages in the chat about people enjoying the quiz tonight. We rushed back from Wimbledon and are waiting for Euro 2020 to start. Well, I'm glad we are filling the hours in between those two important events with this important event of our own. So we need to crack on with our next guest round. Now, this spectacular guest is bringing us around all about food and science. So, of course, to do both those things, we need to find someone who's an expert in both. And we have found them in scientist and Great British Bake Off contestant Yan Tsou. Now, Yan is part of the Crick's cell services team. So she makes sure that all the cells coming into the Crick Institute are what everyone expects them to be. And she also took part in the 2017 series of the Great British Bake Off, making her a true expert in both the art and science of baking. So there's 5 questions in this round. Again, you know the score, 5 points available. Snacks at the ready. Over to you, Yan.
Hello everyone at the Royal Society quiz. So I've come to give you 5 questions on the subject of food and science. And my first question is, what is the fat content of a Swiss meringue? If you could give us the answer as a percentage, that'd be great. Let me repeat that question is, what is the fat content of a Swiss meringue? Okay, give you a few seconds to answer. Next up, which of these loaves is the youngest in terms of creation? And that is, which came into being the most recently? And I'll give you the loaves are sourdough, baguette, ciabatta, or bagel. I'll repeat that question. Which of these loaves are the youngest in terms of creation? That is to say, which came into being the most recently? Sourdough, baguette, ciabatta, or bagel? Question number 3. What gas is produced by both yeast and bicarbonate of soda when used as a raising agent? Let me repeat that question. What gas is produced by both yeast and bicarbonate of soda when used as a raising agent? I'll give you a few seconds to answer that question. Question number 4. When tossing a pizza, what force is exerted to create the disc? What force is exerted when we toss a pizza in the air? That's what I want to know. Okay, and final question. Which vitamin does alcohol destroy? You've only got a finite number of vitamins. So what vitamin does alcohol destroy?
All right. I love the Bake Off tent background there, Yan. Thank you everyone for your fabulous comments in the live chat. Now, I can see that was a difficult round if you know your science, but you're not so hot on your food. Now, that's a tough one on the Swiss meringue, but I've got to let you know, you have to get it dead on, right? You can't be out by a percentage or two. You have to get it exactly right to get the full point. So, are you ready for the answers? Let's go back over to Yan and see what you got.
Hi everyone, welcome back. I am back with the answers to the questions I set earlier. For question number 1, what is the fat content of a Swiss meringue? It's a bit of a trick question, the answer, but the answer is 0. As with all meringues, your bowl must be meticulously clean, free of all fats, because anything that is fatty will destroy the structure of the meringue. So the answer is 0. Answer number 2, which of these loaves is the youngest in the age of creation? So which one is the most recent in terms of creation? The selection was sourdough, baguette, ciabatta or bagel. The answer is ciabatta, and that was created in 1982. So it's the baby of the group. The baguette was invented around 19th century, and the bagel around the 17th century, and the sourdough loaf is the oldest in terms of all the ones that I've asked about, and that was created around 3700 BCE. Question number 3, what gas is produced by both yeast and bicarbonate of soda when they are raising agents? The answer is carbon dioxide. Question number 4, what force is exerted when tossing a pizza? So when you toss a pizza, what force is exerted that creates the disc of the pizza? And the answer is centripetal, not centrifugal, centripetal. Okay, question number 5. The answer is, what vitamin does alcohol destroy? The answer is vitamin B. That's all the vitamin B12 and all the family of vitamin Bs are destroyed by alcohol, which is why there are no Marmite flavoured vodka martinis, I believe. That's one of the reasons. Thank you for participating, and I hope to meet you all at some point. Bye.
Oh, that was a whole heap of brain teasers in there, and stomach teasers as well. I am probably hungrier than I have ever been in my entire life right now, so thank you for that, Yan. How are your scores? Tell us in the chat. Do you have 15 out of 15? Do you have something near it? Do you have something nowhere near it? If you're pretty low on the scores, pop them in the chat anyway, and everyone else can commiserate if they have the same score as you. So, I mean, I've got to say, actually, after that round, I did look online for a little moment, because I'm allowed, because I'm not doing the quiz, and there is a cocktail out there with Marmite in it, which is fine if you like Marmite, and it frankly doesn't look like something I'm going to rely on for my vitamin B12 intake, but it's there if you want it. So it's now a chance for you to give your brains a little bit of a break before we move on to rounds 4 and 5, which are Professor Brian Cox and Dr. Kevin Fong bringing you those rounds. This is just a couple of minutes to stretch your legs, maybe make a quick cup of tea, or if you really want to, you can sing along, because I'm going to perform for you a song that I have learnt for this exact kind of occasion. I have learnt for you Tom Lehrer's Elements. That's 102 elements of the periodic table put into a single song. Now, just to make it special for tonight, I would love you to cheer when you hear your favourite element, or when you hear it, just pop it in the chat window so we all know what your favourite element is. Where else can you share your favourite element except at the Royal Society Big Summer Science Quiz? Where else can you get that joy? If you don't have a favourite element, don't worry, because your favourite element is now sodium. So when you hear sodium, just go bananas, cheer, clap, carry an effigy of me round your front room. Do whatever you can when you hear sodium. Gonna let you in on a little secret there. Sodium is the last element of the song. What I'm trying to do here is get a standing ovation from everyone across the world. But I'll just leave you to enjoy that when we get there. So I'm going to do this a little bit slower than normal so that you at home can hear every element, and also so that the person doing the stage text closed captioning has a chance of keeping up. Let's try it. There's antimony, arsenic, aluminum, selenium, and hydrogen, and oxygen, and nitrogen, and rhenium, and nickel, neodymium, neptunium, germanium, and iron, americium, ruthenium, uranium, europium, zirconium, lutetium, vanadium, lanthanum, and osmium, and astatine, and radium, and gold, and protactinium, and indium, and gallium, and iodine, and thorium, and thulium, and thallium. La 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 la. There's yttrium, ytterbium, actinium, rubidium, and boron, gadolinium, niobium, iridium, and strontium, and silicon, and silver, and samarium, and bismuth, bromine, lithium, beryllium, and barium. La 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 la. Now, if anyone spotted their element a little bit too late to pop it in the chat window, you could choose another one. There you go. Why not? You can do what you like. There's holmium, and helium, and hafnium, and erbium, and phosphorus, and francium, and fluorine, and terbium, and manganese, and mercury, and molybdenum, and magnesium, dysprosium, and scandium, and cerium, and cesium, and lead, praseodymium, and platinum, plutonium, palladium, promethium, potassium, polonium, and tantalum, technetium, titanium, tellurium. I think I made up a new element in that verse there. And cadmium, and calcium, and chromium, and curium. La 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 la. Now, all of you at home, if you wouldn't mind, just for this last verse, just pop your hands about 12 inches apart, and then if you could just strike them together whenever you hear an element. I think what I'm trying to say is clap on every element. Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. Just you know what to do. And you can get twice as fast on every clap, but only if the element is radioactive. Yeah. That joke has a very bad half-life. Okay, let's give it a try. Oh, people are joining in here. There's sulfur, californium, and fermium, berkelium, and also mendelevium, einsteinium, nobelium, and argon, krypton, neon, radon, xenon, zinc, and rhodium, and chlorine, copper, copper, tungsten, tin, and sodium. Oh, wow. How unexpected. Okay, well, there is a problem actually, because since this song was written in 1959, another 16 elements have been discovered. Don't worry though, because I was commissioned by Channel 4 to write a final verse. I shall sing it for you now. We've got lawrencium, meitnerium, darmstadtium, seaborgium, brunchedium, and dubnium, and fluorovium, and borium, copernicium, livermorium, and hassium, rutherfordium, organocin, and tennessine. These ones were only named in 2016. Muscovium, nihonium. Now, those of you who know the periodic table know that we filled a line. But that doesn't mean the periodic table's complete. No, 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 no. It means that more elements may yet be discovered, or more accurately, synthesized for fractions of a second in a laboratory. So don't worry, I've got that covered as well. I'd like to add those elements which one day may be discovered. But it took so long to learn this song, I really can't be bothered. La 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 la. Thank you very much. One final round of applause. Team, thank you. Very kind. All right. Well, I hope you are all feeling a little bit refreshed. You've got some air through your lungs. Perhaps you've had a walk around. Perhaps you have another Smithson Tennant in your hand. All of that is fantastic, because we are going to move on to the next round. Now, this round, I've got to say, for me, this round was the hardest because it was a subject that I studied for 3 years at university, so I should know the answers, but I'm going to be honest, I didn't know all of them. It is the physics round. I hope you're all ready for this. Of course, who could we possibly get to ask physics questions? It's a very simple choice. We would just have to ask Professor Brian Cox, and he is here. When he's not answering pub science questions, which he does a lot, he's the Royal Society's Professor of Public Engagement, and he teaches physics at the University of Manchester. You might also know him from Stargazing Live or any number of the science shows on TV, on radio, and even his books. I mean, if you don't know who Professor Brian Cox is, you probably need to spend more time on the internet. He's again got 5 questions. There's 5 points. They're all about physics. So get your brains in gear for some mind-expanding questioning. It's over to Brian.
Approximately how old is the universe? So approximately how old is the universe? And I'll give you a few 100 million years each way. Approximately, how many stars are there in our galaxy, the Milky Way? Approximately, how many stars are there in our galaxy, the Milky Way? And because this is astronomy, I think I'll let you off within a factor of 2. What are the 4 most common chemical elements in the universe? What are the 4 most common chemical elements in the universe? The closest star to our solar system is just over 4 light years away. What is it called? And for a bonus, what does it mean to say something is 4 light years away? So the closest star to our solar system, so that's obviously not counting the sun, is just over 4 light years away. What is its name? And for a bonus, what does it mean to say something is around 4 light years away?
All right. Thank you, Brian, for those questions. I hope you're all busy scribbling down the answers as best you can. Now, that was 5 questions there, 4, and the 5th one about what a light year means. That's the bonus question, but that's the 5th one for the 5th point. I've got to say the live chat has really upped its game in team names. We've got some more team names. The Brainy Bunch, I love that. The Mathstronauts, and there's several that I don't understand, and once I work out what they mean, I will tell you. We've also got some favourite elements: rhenium, carbon, plutonium, arsenic, gallium, vanadium. I mean, that basically sounds like Keith, the head librarian's finds cupboard, right? That's basically what he's got hanging around downstairs. I think it's time to get the answers from Brian. Brian, can you please tell us the answers to those mystifying questions?
How old is the universe approximately? Well, the answer is about 13.8 billion years. And anything from 13.5 to 14 billion, I think, will get you the point. However, it's worth saying that it is, in a way, a badly posed or even trick question. Because really, we don't even know whether the universe had an origin in time. That commonly quoted number, 13.8 billion years, give or take, is the time that we measure back to when the universe was very hot and very dense. That thing that we call the Big Bang. But whether the Big Bang in that sense was the origin to the universe, is a hotly debated question. It's even possible that our universe could be eternal and never had a beginning. So I would say we just don't know. Approximately how many stars are there in the Milky Way galaxy? And I said that I'd give you a point if you got it within a factor of 2, and that's because we don't really know to within a factor of 2. So anything from around 100 billion stars to 400 billion stars is a reasonable answer. And in fact, I'd probably accept anything up to about 500 billion. So between 100 billion or let's say 500 billion, you can have the point. And the reason is that we don't really know. It's very difficult to define or to measure how many stars there are in our galaxy. There's a wonderful mission called Gaia up there at the moment, measuring the positions of stars and measuring how fast they go. And the data is getting more accurate all the time. So there you go. I think hopefully you've got a point. If you said 3 or 20 trillion, then you won't have got a point. What are the 4 most common chemical elements in the universe? Well, there's a very straightforward answer to this. The most common is hydrogen, then helium, then oxygen, and then carbon. And those 4 chemical elements dominate the universe. Now, the hydrogen and most of the helium were made very close to the Big Bang. And the carbon and the oxygen were made in previous generations of stars. And I think because I'm feeling generous, if you've got 2 of them, then you can have half a point. But you've got to get all 4 to get the full point. The closest star to the Earth is just over 4 light years away. What is it called? Well, the closest star to the Earth at the moment is Proxima Centauri. And I say at the moment because stars move around in space relative to the Earth. And so at some point in the future, then Proxima Centauri will no longer be the closest star to the Earth. But at the moment, that's the answer, Proxima Centauri. And the bonus question was, what does it mean to say 4 light years? Well, a light year is the distance that light travels in 1 year. And the reason that we can measure distances in terms of times and travel times of light is because light always travels at a fixed speed, which is just over, or just under, in fact, just under 300,000 kilometers per second. It's actually it's a well-defined number. I'm going to tell you what it is. Even I can't remember precisely what it is, but it's a defined number. It's this: 299,792,458 meters per second. That's the speed of light, and it's always that.
Thank you, Brian. Now, if there is one constant in the universe, apart from the speed of light, it's that when Brian sends in his quiz videos, the answers are always at least twice as long as the questions. So thank you, Brian, for that. Because, I mean, I absolutely love astrophysics, but like Yan, with her baking questions, is like, sure, you must have absolutely 0% fat, and that is the right answer. And Brian is like, sure, yeah, a few 100 million out, no problem. Yeah, get yourself the answer anyway, don't worry about it. So this is why you must never ask Brian Cox to make you a Swiss meringue, all right? It's going to go horribly wrong. We have actually had a question in the chat that I'd like to answer. Someone has asked whether the answer, we don't know, is an appropriate answer that should get a point. Well, if Brian said the answer is we don't know, I mean, it's between you and your conscience, right? The only person you're cheating is yourself. If you think you deserve a point and you give yourself a point, the only person that helps or hinders is you. So I will leave it for you and your moral compass to decide whether you give yourself a point. Science is a collaborative effort, so you decide. You work it out. So that was the physics round. Now, anyone still got a 20 score? Anyone still got a perfect score? I definitely don't. So it is time to move on to the final round. This is your last chance to pick up 5 points. 5 points and it's all about the human body in extremes. So we've all got a human body, but how much do you really know about it? That's what Kevin Fong wants to know, because he is the questioner for our next round. I mean, he's a doctor, he's a television presenter, he's currently on secondment with the NHS England's COVID-19 response team. I know I shouldn't have a favourite guest questioner, but I think it's got to be Kevin. He's also worked with NASA's human spaceflight program in Houston, and he's hosted BBC TV's show Astronauts. Do you have what it takes? I mean, it's not even a Thursday, but if you could please give him a round of applause, bang some pans, open your window, that sort of thing. I'm going to hand over for the last 5 points, for the last 5 questions, to Dr. Kevin Fong.
Hi, welcome to the Royal Society's Big Summer Science Quiz. I'm Kevin Fong, and I'm going to be asking some questions about the human body, but particularly about the extremes of human endurance and extremes of physiology. So my first question is about the oldest. How old was the oldest person who has ever lived? How old was the oldest person who has ever lived? I'll give you a few questions to think about that. Okay, on from the oldest to the coldest. In 1912, Robert Falcon Scott led his ill-fated expedition to Antarctica's South Pole. He'd of course been beaten by Roald Amundsen. But that expedition in 1912 was followed by the next human beings in what year? So in what year after Robert Falcon Scott did the next human beings set foot at the South Pole? In what year after Robert Falcon Scott in 1912 did the next human beings set foot at the Antarctic's South Pole? Just a few seconds to think about that. Okay, on from the coldest to the fastest and highest and many other extremes. We'll talk about astronauts now. So for an astronaut aboard the International Space Station, how many sunrises could they see in a 24-hour period? So for an astronaut flying aboard the International Space Station in orbit around the Earth, how many sunrises could they see in a 24-hour period? Okay. And let's think of another question here. So we will move on from the extremes of astronauts to the deadliest. So what is the deadliest creature in the animal kingdom? What is the deadliest creature in the animal kingdom? And by that I mean the creature that kills most people every year in the whole of the animal kingdom. Okay, and we'll move on from there to ask this last question, which is if you are climbing Mount Everest and you try and make a cup of tea at the summit of Mount Everest, it will taste rubbish. So this is a question about the worst. We've gone coldest, oldest, deadliest, fastest. Now we're going to worst. So the worst cup of tea in the world is made at the summit of Mount Everest. And I want to ask why a cup of tea at the summit of Mount Everest tastes so bad. So why does a cup of tea that you make at the summit of Everest taste so bad?
I have no idea how Kevin did that, but he's made his questions even more extreme than Brian Cox's physics questions. Okay, so I've seen on the chat that the highest score anyone is claiming to have is 15.5 out of 20. So if you're sitting at home with a better score than that, you need to get into the chat box and let everyone know. In a moment, we're going to find out whether those last 5 points are yours. But I wanted to just clarify something. Question number 2 about the polar exploration. Now, that is a tricky one. If you get the exact year, you get a whole point. A whole point for the exact year. If you are 1 or 2 years either side of the exact year, you get half a point. If you are 3 years either side of that exact year, nil point. So, Kevin, I think it's time to get your extreme answers.
Okay, here are the answers. The oldest person who has ever lived was a woman called Jeanne Calment. She was French, and she lived to 122 years old. She died in 1997. She was old enough, having been born in 1875, to remember meeting Van Gogh when she was a little girl. So 122 years old is the first answer to the question. Okay, the second question, which was about the coldest. So when after Robert Falcon Scott did the next person set foot at the South Pole? And the answer, surprisingly, after 1912, no one set foot at the South Pole until 1956, and that was the United States in Operation Deep Freeze, and they flew in. They decided that trekking there was a really bad idea because about half of you died. So 1956 is the answer to that question. The third question is about astronauts and an astronaut on the International Space Station and how many sunrises they might see in a 24-hour period. So if you're on the International Space Station and you are orbiting the Earth, you may see as many as 16 sunrises in 24 hours. So if you're sitting at the window looking over at the horizon, the sun will come up 16 times in a 24-hour period. They're usually quite busy, so they're not gazing out the window the whole time. But the answer is 16 sunrises for an astronaut in a single day. Pretty impressive. And then the next question was about the deadliest. So what is the deadliest animal in the animal kingdom? And the answer to that, in terms of the creature that kills most people per year, is the humble mosquito. Malaria kills more than 1 million people across the world every year, and it is transmitted by mosquitoes. So the mosquito is officially the most deadly creature in the animal kingdom. And then the final question was about the cup of tea, the worst cup of tea in the world, on the summit of Mount Everest. Now, no one makes a cup of tea on the summit of Mount Everest. They're too busy trying to stay alive. But the summit of Everest is around 29,000 feet, just short of 9 kilometers in altitude. The pressure there is very low, and as the pressure falls, so does the boiling point of water. And your kettle of water, if you were to put it on the summit of Everest, would boil at only 72 degrees Celsius. So pretty tepid, 72 degrees. And that is why a cup of tea on the summit of Everest would be the worst cup of tea in the world. It would also taste terrible because your tongue would be pretty frozen, but I'm looking for the boiling point answer. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed those. Good luck with the rest of the quiz. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Well, I have learnt so many things just from those questions, like never get Kevin Fong to make you a cup of tea up Everest, and don't ask Brian Cox to make you a Swiss meringue. These are very useful things that you can take onward into your life. I hope you've had a chance to tot up your scores now. How are you doing? Anyone claiming 25 out of 25? Anyone claiming 20 and a half out of 25? I want to see what your high scores are in the chat box, because I am ready to give my prize, the ultimate goal, the thing you've all been working towards, my handcrafted high five. Now I'm just going to warm up for that, but there's a couple of things that I need to tell you about before we get to awarding the high five. I just want to say thank you, first of all, to all of the special guests, all 6 of them who've created these 5 rounds out of their own time. Literally, we could not have done this quiz without them. So if you want to warm your hands up with a little round of applause for them at home, that would be fantastic. And I want to mention that tonight is not even the first night of the Summer Science Exhibition. It's the night before the first night of the Summer Science Exhibition, so it hasn't even started yet. You have 4 whole days starting tomorrow, packed full of events online, experiences, workshops, cutting edge researchers here at the Royal Society, beaming live into your living room. And don't forget that the website where you can take a genuine tour inside this amazing research goes live tomorrow morning. All of this weekend's sessions are being recorded and they'll be available on demand from Monday. So much for you to enjoy over the next few days and then in the weeks after as well. I think it's going to help fill up some quiet summer holiday days as well. You can find the whole full program of all the events linked on the YouTube video description. So just scroll down a little bit and you'll find the link to everything below the live stream. Just have a little scroll down there right now, copy it, save it for later in an email or something, and have a look later because there's such brilliant stuff happening. And we have an extra treat for you right after the quiz finishes. So stay on the Royal Society YouTube channel. You basically just don't need to do anything. Just stay here and join the next event at 7:45, which is about 3D printing personalised medicine. It's called How to Print Your Wonder Pill, and it is an exciting dose of the future of medication. Now, I've been asked to let you know that it is only 7 minutes long. All right, so whether you're just trying to fill the time between Wimbledon and the Euro 2020s, or you're desperate to find out how 3D printing is the future of medication, I'm going to suggest that all of you stay on this channel and watch it. It's just another 7 minutes. It's a micro dose. I use those words intentionally, a micro dose of science for you before the football starts at 8 o'clock. So join us, stay for that. It'll be absolutely fascinating. And one final thing I would like to do tonight, because what else is there for you to do during half time during the football? I would love you to fill in the feedback survey. Now that should be appearing in the chat at the moment, so have a look for that. The feedback survey is so important to the Royal Society. It's your way of letting them know what you thought about this event, and your feedback could be the thing that brings back the big summer science quiz in 2022. So it is important that you fill it in and let the Royal Society know what you think about this event. So I think it's high five time. So we've got a few teams who've had some very high scores, but just while I've been finishing off this event and we're coming to a close, I feel like this isn't just for the teams with the high score, right? This is for everyone. Whatever your score, we've all taken part. We've all learnt something. I've definitely learnt something. We've all joined in, we did it, and most importantly, we have more knowledge now than we had at 6:30 p.m. this evening. So here we go. I'm going to get ready. I'm going to hope my microphone doesn't fall off and I don't fall off the table. Here we go. Are we ready? 3. I'm genuinely expecting you to put your hand out. Whatever score you got, however you did in the quiz, I need your hand out now because this is my human contact for the week. 3, 2, 1. Yes! Big Summer Science Quiz high five. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute joy to host this quiz. My name's Helen Arney. We're live from the Royal Society. We hope to see you at many more events this week. Thank you so much. Good night.
The Royal Society's Summer Science returns this July with a free, packed programme celebrating all of science. So, have you ever wondered why humans smell? Or what a bee's favourite flower is? or how galaxies formed. Well, from the 8th to the 11th of July, you can go to royalsociety.org/summer to see games and digital workshops, talks, you name it, it's there. It's all free and it will be tremendous fun.